Good evening. Happy New Year 2024. We have another hot takes, whatever episode we're on. Let's begin. Overwatch 2 hot take. We already have a hero with aimbot, Soldier 76. We already have a hero with wall hacks, Widowmaker. We need a hero with a trigger bot. Sure, why not? Can you implement something like a trigger bot where like as soon as you press the button, it'll lock on for a certain burst? It's pretty much guaranteed damage unless they're behind a shield. All right, pretty hot take though. I don't really feel like you need to implement any sort of hero design that has any sort of automated mechanic, at least in the way that it appears, in the way you're kind of phrasing it. But I know it's a bit of a meme, but I mean, there's potential in there. Next hot take. If the devs just focused on payload maps, people would be much more happy instead of trying to reinvent the wheel with new game modes that end up being as a payload adjacent or control with extra steps. I disagree. I think this is a pretty hot take. I think the devs should continue to focus on many maps. It keeps the game fresh. I know payload is maybe the favorite for you, whoever wrote this on the Overwatch Anonymous Twitter, but there are plenty of people that love new game modes. Some people say they hate Flashpoint or whatever. I actually really enjoy Flashpoint. I like that game mode. Push, not so much. Some new game modes may be a hit, some may be a miss, but I think they should continue to keep developing new maps and new game modes. So the thing with new game modes is that they're not necessarily new. The one they announced at BlizzCon, I forgot what they titled it, but it's the 1 point in the middle and 2 points on the neutral ends, right? And that game mode is coming out later this year. The map will be Hanaoka, right, adjacent to Hanamura, so that sort of Japanese cherry blossom theme. And that's the one where like both teams have to capture the first one. If you get one, you move to the next one on their side, or the other team can push back and go to the point back in the middle again. There's that game mode exists in other games as a different name. I can't remember what parallel it is. I personally haven't played it in any other FPSs. I think it's a TF2 game mode, maybe. But anyways, if you guys haven't heard about it, you can check out my main channel, BlizzCon recap video. I covered what the new game mode was called, and I think they said it was from TF2 or inspired by it. When you say people would be much more happy, it's gonna make you happy, and maybe the loud people on Twitter, but you're not considering the player base that enjoys new content, and I'm one of those, so I disagree with that take. The free Overwatch credits in the Battle Pass should be replaced by loot boxes, while we can still get credits from the recycle items when we open them. Players who can't spend money on the game would also be able to get those shop skins from the loot boxes, even with only a little chance. That way, everyone could have some hope of getting new content instead of having to pay for them every single time. Most shop skins for casual players are very unachievable. Okay, so I don't know why people love loot boxes so much. I know some people prefer and they hate this new monetization system, but loot boxes were also sort of like, it had its own issues, right? Like people say Overwatch 2's monetization is predatory. Gotcha loot boxes are not that much better in terms of the predatory kind of label on them, right? You're still playing on a bit of luck and chance and kind of feeding on that gambling. I think there's some countries that sort of like ban that sort of stuff too, right? Who's a gotcha addict here? Who plays Star Rail, Honkai, Genshin? I don't, but the last time I did a gacha roll was TFT, and I ended up buying like 50 rolls or box openings to get the stupid KDA arena. Like loot boxes are also dangerous as well in a sense too, right? So all in all, I disagree. I don't think they should be replaced by loot boxes. They got rid of it and they sort of give you, like, in my opinion, I know not everyone's gonna agree with this, choice to purchase skins as needed. And if not, then there are actually some free ways to get new content skins. You don't have to pay for them every single time, right? There are free skins available all the time on the Battle Pass. You do build slow credits, so you can buy most of the hero gallery stuff as needed. You're not going to be, I think people have been spoiled to be able to get everything, and it does suck that you used to be able to get everything and now you can't. But that's a new model. You can also come to Twitch and get Twitch drops to get free cosmetics as well, such as the Rhine skin drops that just finished as well. You know, loot boxes were not perfect either, and I don't know why people keep saying we should go back to them. And I don't know what people's obsession with loot boxes are personally. Overwatch 1 Orissa's kit fits 5v5 format better than Overwatch 2. Honestly, in a vacuum, it would be okay, but I think Orisa as a hero is probably more boring. If they want the hero to feel more dynamic and fluid, the new Orisa is a lot more interactive and engaging, right? You actually get to spin in. Hitting a cool spear mid-air is actually a very satisfying form of Orisa. Old Orisa may fit the 5v5 format in a team sense, but like No one's gonna main Orisa because it's probably so boring. All you do is plant the shield and stand there and just shoot. So I don't know. New Overwatch 2 Orisa is fun. That kit may work, but again, it will just not be fun. That's all. Hot take: Dorado's first point attack is the hardest point to take on any map and needs an immediate rework. It's harder than Nimbani first, Circuit, Junkertown, and Havana third. Okay, that's a pretty hot take in my opinion, because I'm a believer that Circuit Royale second and third are first and second place for the hardest points to take. Dorado first is a little annoying, but it's definitely like, if I could list out a tier list on the top 5 hardest points to attack and take, Circuit comes first and second for phase 3 first, and then phase 2 of Circuit. That's top 2. Third might be Havana third point for me. Fourth, Shambali. Shambali first is pretty hard to break. I get a lot of full hold on that map. Havana first. What's the fifth one? Maybe Junkertown first. I think Dorado is like pretty high up there, like a top 10 issues, and they probably should work on it, but there's other ones that they need to work on first, which is probably Circuit Royale and Havana, because 2 of those points feel awful. Hot take: I think they should give Ball's adaptive shield effect immunity, making him immune to anti, hack, or slows as long as his shield ability is up. It would help him a lot more and make him more valuable in many situations. IMO. Okay, this is not the worst take in the world. While the adaptive shield is up, I think it's a pretty blank, like, I think Ball's a pretty hard hero. If you actually put adaptive and are unable to be CC'd, it would actually make Ball super unkillable. If you do that, you'd have to nerf his HP or other aspects of him. I actually think there's a suggestion, I forgot where I heard it from, but someone said they can give Ball a parry attack. So like a small window, kind of like a deflect, because deflect is pretty much a parry, right? You can give Ball like a really short, like, ching, and you can deflect the CC, immune it for like, or make it immune for a second. I don't want to just give him blanket immunity. I think the whole like just randomly getting immune to all things is so annoying to play against. You can make it a bit more skillful with a bit of timing, but yeah. Hot take: I no longer desire the balanced team to always make every character balanced. They should instead make a handful of characters above average, but not OP every season, and make some slightly below average. Perfect balance is never going to happen, and having some character meta for one season and it changes every season, this can make the game still somewhat fresh. What? Okay, I don't think you should, okay, I disagree with this take. This is a pretty hot take, because I don't think you should ever intentionally make someone above average or below average. You're not wrong with the part where perfect balance is never going to happen. Balance is a pretty blanket statement, but viable in certain situations. As long as there's a situation for every hero and not one hero is favored over the other in every scenario, that's the best we can strive for. If there's like one hit scan DPS that's just better than all of them, what's the point of playing the other ones? There's no niche for the other ones to fill, and that's bad balance. But as long as every hero has its place in some situation where they're a little bit more favorable than the others, I think I'm okay with that personally. Like if you make, you know, Ashe the best hit scan, no one plays cast, no one plays soldier anymore, right? They all have their strengths and weaknesses. There was a question I answered on Reddit yesterday about what role does Cassidy fill, because he's kind of ass as your hit scan option. And honestly, at mid to long range, that's true, but he does have a small niche, believe it or not, in my opinion, which is the close range short duelist against specifically like Ball, Doomfist, and maybe Winston. Some people are like, oh, why play Ashe on long range maps? That's true, but if they're playing a Doomfist and he's owning, you can actually just play Cass. He's a bit tankier, he's sturdier up close. You got the Hinder Nade to slow him down, and that's the role you're supposed to play for him right now. But the thing with that is, like, anybody who's mained the hero for a long time may not like it. They'll find ways to be like, I don't like that, blah, 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 blah. But that's how I see it. Comp matches involving payloads should only have extra rounds if both teams fully complete the map while in overtime. If both teams complete the map, the team that completes the map with the least amount of time should win. Simple as that. It removes the need for a third and fourth round, and you no longer have to deal with one match taking over half an hour to play. I actually believed in this, and I actually agreed with this. I would have agreed with this a couple of years ago. I agreed with that in 2016, 2017. But now that I've played Overwatch for 7 years, I think there's some sort of thrill and dopamine rush if you, as the underdog, do cap with less time, but your team suddenly shifts things around, they turn it around, you switch some team comps on, and everything starts clicking afterwards. There's a big satisfaction to that. You gotta take the highs with the lows. It can be so cool to just make like you have like 30 seconds left in overtime, and you get like a minute on your overtime, but they have 4 minutes, and then you have the godliest hold and you actually get your tick on your minute. It's so satisfying. I like riding that high, so I think you shouldn't have this take. That being said, it sucks when you're on the other end and your whole team like falls apart and a winnable game just becomes a throw. That can be frustrating, but roll with the punches with me. I strongly believe once there are more tanks in the game, a 2-1-2 is a better role distribution compared to 1-2-2. A lot of the problems on release could have been prevented if they tried this mode for a bit at least. Like, I can't say for certain it wouldn't be a bad mode to play since we haven't tried it, but like, it's a pretty bold statement to say a lot of problems on release could have been prevented. Sure, but then some of the problems you see now are prevented, but then 2-1-2 creates its own subset of problems that you can't see right now. Then we're gonna have issues with, you know, this tank doing this, and then the balance, and then all the DPS always gets focused. DPS feels like shit because we're always the first one out, then there's no DPS left. Like, when you what's that? There's a saying where like when you do one thing, another thing breaks. There's some sort of quote like that. So then you get double shield again and other metas that are also going to be unfun. Like, people's perception of fun totally changes depending on what heroes are their favorites. So, you know, new sets of problems come. One of the reasons why they probably dropped one tank as well is because tank was the least popular role. Even when people say, oh, I miss Rein Zarya and all those tank like things, if they made tank somehow more desirable, then sure. But all in all, I don't even think this is an Overwatch problem. I just think in general, tanks are just not popular in all games. Who likes to be the meat shield? Some of you guys are like, I love playing tank in Final Fantasy or World of Warcraft, but like, realistically, I think most people prefer the other roles. I may be wrong on this because I don't play the other MMOs, but certainly feels like tank is least desirable in every game. What is this? Next hot take. Give DPS the support passive. No, this is just what DPS players want, just so they'll literally run the game. They say supports run the game, but if you give DPSs like a self-heal all the time, they can take infinite strong angles and completely dominate the game. No. You can make adjustments to just nerf supports, but this, like, imagine Tracer just being able to heal on her own without blinking the health packs. That'll be fun for DPS players and miserable for everybody else. Okay, next hot take. Add fall damage, but only for Pharah. Why? Pharah's already pretty bad. Like, without a mercy pocket, if you raw dog Pharah, she's pretty like below mid. That's because her aerial control is pretty one-dimensional. I think they said, this is not a good take. This is awful. Right now, if you guys don't know, the lead designer, Alec Dawson, did mention they were going to change Pharah and give her better aerial control, if I'm not mistaken. Something about her flight. If you can give her better movement in the air, I think that's a good buff for Pharah. In a way to like give Pharah players more agency, better aerial control, and less reliant on the mercy pocket, so that she can roll. Because as it stands, Echo I think is the better and more flexible flying archetype. And honestly, they should add more flying archetypes. I don't think it's a bad thing. But the thing with being flying in the air without good aerial control is like with the way that game is aged and evolved, like hit scans can actually pick you apart if you're not careful with how you fly. So that's why that new hero, Space Ranger, coming out for support. I hope she has like some sort of like she has jump jets on her boots or something like that, right? So like good aerial control is pretty cool. Next hot take. Mei's Snowball Offensive should be a permanent mode and have a competitive setting. It's definitely the best non-standard Overwatch mode there is, but then again, this isn't a hot take, it's a chilling take. Have you heard of Mystery Ultimates? That should be a permanent arcade mode. Shout out to Cactus Puppy who made that game mode. My personal favorite. We play it all the time on this stream. Final hot take is the ranked progression system should show win rates of the player. Bracket, the win rate should be affecting the rank anyway, bracket, but instead of a number, they could just make a bar of progression towards the next division and rank. People don't tell the whole story about how they rank down. They go 5 and 15, they don't move, then they go 5 and 2, then they rank down, then they say they're confused by the second number. That is why rank is an uproar, because people are lying about the win rate and they have a certain rank. That's why devs are confused about us complaining. Okay, this was submitted 2 weeks ago, but have you not been listening to the BlizzCon updates? If you haven't, you got to subscribe to the main channel where we covered what the new rank system looks like. We'll put it on screen right now, that one screenshot from the video where you can see a bar right now on the screen. That's what's happening in February. literally in a month, there will be a bar coming back to see your progress. There's going to be multipliers giving you full information if you're doing a streak, if you're winning a bunch and you're streaking, how much towards your next one. It's a hybrid between the old bar progress SR system and like, you know, the gold 1, gold 2, gold 3. There's no 2800, 2700 SR system, but there's the divisions, gold 1, gold 2, but there is a progress bar, and they're getting rid of the 5 and the 15 cards. Not a hot take. The bar is a good thing, and it's coming back. Thank you for listening.